Hello and welcome to the first ever 9 to 5 Nerds Books and Brews Book Club, where we will be eating local food that is from San Diego, because we are out of San Diego, drinking local beer, and talking all sorts of comics, graphic novels, whatever, and we will be chit-chatting about that. Tonight we have myself, the talent, Robert Swathwood, Katrina Swathwood.
Hello.
We have Alan Gordon Berserker.
Hi.
We have Sarah Martin.
Hello.
We have Sam Voltmer.
Yo, yo, yo.
And we have the youngest comic historian,
The world's youngest comic book historian,
Sir Matt Dunford.
Sir Matt Dunford, with his smooth radio voice.
It is very smooth. I like it.
Smooth like this imperial stout I'm drinking from Societe Brewing. It'll make your night really smooth and really nice.
I'm going to listen to this as I go to bed.
Good. And now, some Luther Vandross for you.
Smooth jazz.
Yeah.
98.1. The Quiet Storm.
So I just want to touch base on where we got our food from, our beer from this week, and we'll head right into the comics. I had to go big for the first book club, and it doesn't get much bigger in San Diego than Lucha Libre. They are probably one of the biggest Mexican food places in San Diego. They have multiple locations, including a few of them in Petco Park. They really are kind of an icon around here, and to start the night off, I wanted to go with something different. I know everybody kind of goes after that surf in California because it is fucking delicious. But I tried the what did I try?
The birria burrito.
The barilla. Is that right?
Isn't that what it is?
Yes.
Isn't that the Cali SmackDown winner?
That was the Cali SmackDown winner of 2018, which I didn't compete in. I did the SmackDown in 2017. And do you guys know what the SmackDown is?
I do not. I would like some more.
The Cali SmackDown is they introduce 5 California burritos to the menu that are temporary, and you have
7 days.
7 days to eat all 5 burritos. Each time you eat one, they put a wristband on your wrist, and you get a pin. Once you finish all of them, you get a T-shirt, 5 pins, and a front-of-the-line medal for 1 year. So it's a really cool competition. I did it 2 years ago, and actually Alan got the winner of the year before, I believe, which is the
Alhambra,
which is pretty damn good. The birria beef is it was like a shredded beef with it was kind of spicy, had French fries in it. It was really, really, really good stuff. And I ordered a Baja Cali dog, which is basically a hot dog with French fries and cheese and I think chipotle sauce on top of it, and it was really good. But I can't recommend Lucha Libre enough. What'd you have, Katrina?
Chicken enchiladas with green sauce.
Were they good?
They were delicious.
And Matt and Sam, you guys had
The California?
the Surf in California?
Yeah, Surf in California, which is...
tried and true.
Yeah, I went to Lucha Libre the day it opened back in summer 2008, and that's literally all I've ordered from them since.
I know it was on Man vs. Food on the Food Network.
Yeah, there's an interesting history behind Lucha Libre, because it's literally was just, I grew up in Mission Hills, so that's my neighborhood spot. So all the stuff in India Street and Washington Street. So I went there. It's like, okay, let me check out this new place, and basically they were just set up, and I just watched. They had like luchador movies on the walls, and it was like luchadors fighting mummies and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
El Santo. Those movies are timeless.
And I'm watching them in the background, and I'm like, I don't get it. But it's like, I tried the burritos, like, wow, this is pretty dang good. Of course, I started with the Surfing California burrito, and then one time, the only thing I ever really ventured off the menu with was one they had called back in 2008 called the Triple Squealer, which was a quesadilla with 3 kinds of pork. It was like carnitas and bacon and like seared ham.
That sounds awesome.
Where is that?
Yeah.
No, they don't have it anymore. They only had it during the first year.
We need to write that in. That needs to come back.
And it was just because I used to work at the San Diego National Comedy Theater back in the day. So talking about my announcer voice, we've got my San Diego National Comedy Theater voice as well. And so I would get off of work at midnight and then go to Lucha Libre's for dinner afterwards. And so it just became my go-to spot after work. And then when I was away at UC Santa Barbara, Man vs. Food Guy did an episode on it, and so every time I would come back,
It
there
blew
would
up.
be a line up the hill trying to get in, and then people like Gabriel Iglesias started going there, and it just got really big, and then prices went up a little bit, and then it's just it took a while for things to calm down before I could really start going there more often. But I think other places now they opened up a North Park location, they've opened up an Oceanside one, so and of course
Made it a
Petco
little
Park.
easier.
Made it a
to
little
get in.
easier to get around.
Any of you guys have the opportunity to sit in the Champions booth ever?
I have not. I've seen it.
I
I mean,
yeah, I didn't get
Oh,
to.
it's amazing. You reserve it at least a day ahead of time. That way you bypass the line. You sit in the Champions booth, and then you ring the wrestling bell, and they just bring you whatever you want.
And you just reserve it. That's all you have to do.
That's all you got to do is reserve it.
Really?
And the cool thing is you don't have to go to the salsa bar. They just bring the salsa bar to you.
Oh, nice.
it used to be pretty hard to get, but now with multiple locations, I'm assuming it's a
yeah,
lot
it might
easier to
be,
get now.
yeah.
So you guys had the Surfing California, and you had the Alhambra. What did you have?
I had the surf and turf burrito, and I feel like I'm having a little bit of burrito envy after hearing about the surf in California. I have to say, so
It's good. I mean, you really can't go wrong with Lucha Libre, and I'm really happy that they were willing to put their name on this episode and be the first local food that we try. We have some. I have some feelers out there for the next few episodes. We don't know if these episodes are going to be every month, every other month, but they are going to be happening semi-regular.
But if you like it, you should tweet Robert and tell him how often you want it.
Yeah, feel free to do that. I'm always okay. Man, I really didn't want to go down this route yet, but since we're kind of known for going off on tangents, I wanted to get a vote from everybody here. My brother was arguing with me over what was worse, pineapple pizza or mint chocolate. And as much as I've put out stuff for our podcast, this has got more fucking views on Twitter than anything I've ever put out. So I want to ask.
It made him very mad.
It made me
What's wrong with mint chocolate?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't get
Thank
that
you.
either. That's
I just don't
what-
like it because I don't like mint.
And that's fair.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with pineapple on pizza. But
It
I,
is
Oh wait, no,
disgusting.
that
No,
is
it's
that's
gross.
where you're wrong. There's a lot wrong with
see, I
that.
like both of those.
Sweet and savory
It's
don't
just-
work.
Yeah, it's,
pineapple goes well with everything.
It does
it
not.
does not.
bakes
There's
into
a
the
lot of
cheese.
things it doesn't
Even
go
mint
well
chocolate
with.
ice cream?
I'm lactose intolerant.
Even mint chocolate ice cream?
Sure.
Okay, but there's a chemical reaction that happens when citrus hits cheese on a pizza, and it doesn't work for me. And I'm not saying that somebody's wrong for liking it. I'm just saying those things. I didn't realize people had such a strong feelings about mint chocolate. I thought it was universally loved by people who like mint. You don't like mint. That's fair. But okay, so out of the people here, Sarah likes both of them. Alan likes both of them.
No.
Yo, you don't like mint. You don't like mint. And the rest of us are like pineapple pizza's gross. So now that that's out of the way, I really wanted to touch base on it real quick. As of right now I got to look at the poll. It'll only take me a second.
You know what's gross? Is pumpkin. Pumpkin.
You don't like pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin's gross.
Anything pumpkin is gross.
You don't like pumpkin pie either, Matt?
Yeah.
Pumpkin roll,
No, the only true flavor of winter
pumpkin
and
juice.
fall is apple.
Peppermint.
Apple,
Called hot chocolate.
apple cider would be.
right.
I think
apple
that's
cider
more of the-
donuts from Julian.
See, if it's clear, it's apple juice. But if it's brown, you're in cider town.
No.
Is that
If it's
is
clear
that
and
the-
yellow, you got juice there, fella. If it's tangy and brown, you're in cider town.
That's a
Well done.
Thank you.
As of right now, there's 93
Yes,
votes.
I can literally, just straight up quote, like, I can have Simpsons quotes as dialogue. That's how it is.
There's 93 votes. 62% of people think that pineapple pizza is worse. With that said,
That tells who you are as a human being.
Whether
yes,
you have a soul or not.
Yeah.
I wonder if all the people that like pineapple pizza on that were gingers.
probably
There's no
has
gingers
a
here.
lot of contentment towards the world. I'm sure.
But
I'm sure an ethnic cleansing will now begin because of this poll.
what are they gonna put everybody in that likes pineapple pizza in like concentration camps?
Yeah, pineapple camps.
Are they gonna be in the shape of pineapples?
I don't know. Maybe it's just an island retreat where you wear Hawaiian shirts and
Well, now it sounds like we're just talking about SpongeBob.
I think they're just gonna have play
Send you on
SpongeBob
vacation.
music. Yeah.
That's that.
But I was equally excited at the first brewery that wanted to be involved because it is by far my favorite brewery in San Diego, and that is Societe, which is off of Claremont Mesa Boulevard. And I am drinking the Debutante right now, which is what is it, an amber? It's an amber.
Yeah.
It's an amber. And it is, bring up the list, producer. Bring up the list.
That's it. You're on the list.
We have 5 different beers we are trying here tonight, and I'm going to list them because they are all delicious. And then we're going to talk about the books. The books.
What books?
Tonight we'll be talking about the highly anticipated Assassination, which comes out March 13th. We will be talking about Dead Body Road, and we will be talking about Oblivion Song. And I will read a short synopsis and who does those books before we launch into each discussion. And during those discussions, we will all just listen to Matt talk.
Good, because I can be really smooth, ladies.
We should just relay what we're going to say to him, and he can just say it in his radio voice.
But I think people are going to confuse this for like a jazz podcast if we do that.
You know, I can talk about jazz too.
You got some old Duke Silver records spinning in the back.
Okay, good.
Duke Silver. Do you know who Duke Silver is?
No.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
Okay. He's, do you watch Parks and Rec ever?
Not really.
Okay. We found out what he doesn't.
That is why.
Yeah.
I
Are
watched
you
Parks
lost?
and Wreck-It Ralph, but I watched the second Wreck-It Ralph. I didn't like it as much as the first one.
That's the correct answer.
Matt and Alan are drinking the Vulcanist, which is an American stout.
You gotta say it like this.
The Vulcanist.
Oh, jeez.
They're drinking the Vulcanist.
We are drinking the Vulcanist.
Is that right?
It's very
Thank you.
smooth, long, and prosper.
I am drinking the Debutante, which is a Belgian amber, and it
Thick
is
and rich.
one of my favorites. It's they don't have a bad beer, so I couldn't give you I could not recommend something to you, but I love the Belgian amber. And Katrina is drinking the Highwayman. Wait, no, the Highbinder. Sorry, which is one of their feral ales, which is a sour with raspberries, and that's what Sarah's drinking as well. How'd you like it?
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And Sam is drinking I know it's the Pupil San Diego IPA.
It is delicious.
And all these beers, most of these beers here are award winners. I know their Thief Sour won gold in a national beer competition for sours, so their stuff's legit. They're right off of Claremont Mesa Boulevard, and it's a really cool atmosphere.
They're right by the comic book store.
Yeah. Hop,
They
skip,
are,
and jump away.
yeah, they are right by SoCal Comics, which to me is the premier comic book store in San Diego.
I was just there this morning.
I was there picking up my pull list today and a new short box because I prefer short boxes to long boxes. And I need
They're easier on the
That's
back.
what she
for sure. And with that said, as I go get another beer, I will tell you what I'm drinking. But with that said, I'm going to launch into our first book. I'm going to read a short synopsis for you, and we'll dive right in. I'll read the entire synopsis off the Image Comics. It is a Image book with the Skybound imprint. Hot off her breakout success at Marvel, 2-time Eisner Award winner Erica Henderson, which Matt would say is from Squirrel Girl, right?
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, my God, it's a Squirrel Girl.
Teams up with Kyle Starks, writer of Sales Beast, Rick and Morty, for a hilarious twist on the hitman trope that will have readers laughing in the aisles over Assassination. The world's former greatest hitman hires the 20 best assassins in the world to be his bodyguards. These mean-as-hell hired guns and murderers must work together to keep new crime boss safe. The new crime boss, my apologies, safe, while attempting to solve the mystery of who's trying to off him. With the same laugh-until-you-cry spirit of action comedies like Hot Fuzz, Tropic Thunder, and Deadpool, Assassination is the bombastic, side-splitting murder fest you've been waiting for. There is a varying degree of comic readers here, from Matt, who is constantly reading comics.
Well, at least I claim to.
Do you actually?
That's an accurate description.
That's it. Yeah. I've been busy with event planning for a comic book convention, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to read comics. But in my day, I've been known to be a voracious reader.
We will touch base on this convention before we sign off today, because this episode is coming out before said convention.
Yeah, what's that convention is that? Oh yeah, San Diego Comic Fest.
It is San Diego
March
Comic
7th
Fest.
through the 10th, and you'll never find a smoother convention experience around. Oh yeah. Why did I go Kool-Aid Man with that? Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. So let's go to Sam first. What'd you think about the book?
Well, for one, I love the artwork. That was probably one of my favorite things. As opposed to the other comic books we read, this one was more the lighter, not as grim as the other ones, I would say. This one, you can definitely get the comedy sense out of it.
Like it said in the explanation, a little bit of that Deadpool.
Yeah,
feel.
and I think they hit that pretty good on the head. It's a good read. As far as it's very action packed for a comic book, kind of a gun blazing type thing where there's a lot of shooting and the dialogue goes along with that well too. So if you're into action movies, this is definitely your comic book.
I agree. I really like that the book started off with a list of what their ranks were. Mm-hmm. And
I wonder if that's going to change from issue to issue.
Yeah, since this book hasn't come out yet, we won't give you spoilers. This episode should drop the day the book is out. So I'm apologizing ahead of time if there are any spoilers. I'm trying to remember what the list was because I read the list of who the assassins were, and I immediately said, "That's my guy right there."
Was it Fuck Tarkington?
Yes, I immediately pulled to that. I was like, why is he at the end of the list?
Yeah,
It's
he's
like,
100%.
he was the only one whose name I actually remembered in that book because I was rushing to read it. I haven't had a whole lot of time to read it, so I knocked out the graphic novel, and I'm like, okay, I got to get one more. I'm gonna read this. And of course, yes, it was a quick read, and you're like, dun, dun, dun. Oh, I really like the colors. Why does this art seem so familiar? Wait, is this a Squirrel Girl? And so that's where I recognized it. I'm like, Fuck Tarkington? Really? His name is Fuck Tarkington?
It's a great name.
I also liked Wistful Stan. I thought that was a pretty standout.
What about the guy named Dave?
My guy is Meat Stick, who apparently by the list looks like he was up there in the top rankings for a little while because he went down 11 spots.
Oh, see, I like my assassins like I like my gum. I was going for wintergreen myself. That seemed like my guy.
Fair enough. Sarah, what'd you think of the book?
I like it, and I like some of the subtle stuff, like the little the autograph section where we get a little bit more insight into these characters, like with Fuck Tarkington or Fernando, the different ways in which they autograph the fans thing.
Does it say like "fuck off, cabron"?
Yeah. Fernando goes with the "fuck off, cabron," whereas Fuck Tarkington has this horrible misspelling and
Love Dave.
yes, Dabe. Thanks, Dabe.
Yeah.
You had a catchphrase for the book, didn't you, Katrina?
Well, it was kind of a little summary thing I wrote down because it was very interesting. But I can leave that till the end. It'll be more fun that way.
Okay. Did you like the book?
I did. I enjoyed it. It was a fun read. The rankings kind of got me going on the first. It was kind of interesting to be shown that first. The Fernando throwback made me think of ABBA for some reason.
Because that song.
Yeah, and that's all I could hear in my head when I was reading about that character.
I kept thinking of that. I think it was an SNL skit where they go, such as, I think it was Fernando. He's like, oh no, it's too sexy.
It is too sexy. No, it was Antonio Banderas.
Oh, that's right.
It is too sexy. He is too sexy.
I left that loose. I'm going to edit this part out. I left that loose so you guys can swing it back and forth if you want, like this.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he's being fancy.
So it's not going to create a
Just
sound.
gentle?
If it just...
Because just like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting that it's really low.
Pull it up.
Crazy person. There was only 3 people on the cover that didn't have a gun. One guy had a knife. Everybody else had guns, and then one guy's holding another guy up by his neck, and I just thought that was really weird or just interesting.
Someone brought a knife to a gunfight.
Right. I was like,
That's
who's
Fuck
that
Tarkington
guy?
that's holding the guy up by the neck, so I'd expect him to
I
be a
don't
big
think he
meat
gives
fist.
a fuck.
Yeah.
Does anybody immediately think of the Thomas Jane Punisher when anybody says you brought a knife to a gunfight?
No, I didn't see
No,
it.
I actually
You didn't
think
see
of
it?
the movie The Untouchables, but
Yeah.
that's
I've never seen it.
When I hear that line, I think of Indiana Jones talking with Mutt in the great cinematic, wonderful film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Be careful, Mutt, because you just brought a gun or a knife to a gunfight, and I'm old and surly. All right, don't mess with me. I just got blown up in a refrigerator.
So you haven't seen the Thomas Jane Punisher?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there's this like scene where he's like pinned underground and Castle draws a knife, and the guy's like, I can't remember the exact terms. He's like, "How dumb are you? You brought a knife to a gunfight," and the knife blade shoots off and hits the guy in the neck.
Hits his jugular.
Yeah,
It's like that scene in Starship Troopers, right? It's like, why do you need a knife in a nuke fight?
Yeah.
I suppose. I think it kind of
Put
hit.
your hand on that wall.
I think the explanation kind of hit the nail on the head. That you do
I
get
mean,
kind
hit
of
the nail in the neck.
hit the knife in the neck. It definitely hit the neck. Thanks, Matt. The knife in the
now
neck.
he's done for the whole thing.
Yeah.
He just can't get it together.
I do get a little Deadpool vibe, especially with the rankings and the bar in the Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
I'm talking about more film than comic. You definitely get that feel. It is fun from beginning to end. I went to SoCal Comics today and I forgot to put it on my pull list, which kind of irritates me. But I'll definitely be adding it to my pull list. Not only was it a fun read, but I do like to support Skybound, and they put out good books. So for me, it is a must read. It is a good read. Alan?
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think it's definitely a solid read. A solid read.
I got the cinematic vibe from it. It reminds me a lot of those kind of tongue-in-cheek assassin movies like Deuces Wild. I also kind of, with the ranking system, it has a lot of that tongue-in-cheek attitude with games like No More Heroes, or the character you play in that game is you're trying to work your way up to the top of the assassin list so you can bang this chick. She'll only bang the number one person on the list. So
If that turns into the reason there's that list, that is excellent. Or I mean, equal opportunity. If there's a dude to bang too. I mean, I don't.
I agree, dude. Like for every set of jugs and ass, like there should always be a dong shot.
Well, there was a girl that they referred to,
Yeah,
like
there-
in
There was,
that.
there was a
Girl,
gay
yeah.
assassin too. I forgot his name.
Yeah, but no, like there was one of the guys.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be like the de facto protagonist.
Probably, yeah.
Well, he was talking to the girl who was on the couch with her phone and just kind of like demeaning her. He's like, "Oh no, you're a girl. Like, what are you doing here?" And that was fun.
Well, it was interesting.
Get out, you got cooties.
It was interesting that she was the one sort of lying on the couch acting super disinterested, and then she was the one who ended up killing Fernando at the end and kind of came out of nowhere with her little contract.
Clean up
kill.
shop.
Yeah.
Taking down the number one guy.
I also really liked the boss, whoever set this up. Right, his assassin name was Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
So the English teacher and you would probably laughed over that. But
Real quick, we do have to kind of touch base on where you're coming from in your comic reading and just literature in general. You can give us a little synopsis on you. I know it's right in the middle of this book. I meant to do it at the beginning, but like I said, this is kind of a new format, so we're seeing where we're going with this.
Yeah, I basically started teaching graphic novels in my literature courses at community college about 2009 maybe, and it's something that I wanted to incorporate not only to my personal reading, but I thought it was more engaging for students, especially I had students coming into the classroom that had never read a full-length book, and I think they found the graphic novel like a little bit more of something digestible and not as intimidating as a full-length novel. So I started with Watchmen, and that was kind of my entree into that, and yeah, that's pretty much like...
what else do you have in your curriculum?
I did the graphic novel version of Fahrenheit 451 as well as Kafka's Metamorphosis. So it's kind of a cool graphic novel twist on some classics that kind of students were really into that in my intro lit class a few semesters ago. So
Cool. Matt, did you touch base on the on this book? I forgot.
Yes, I did read Assassination, and I thought it was a very very good book. Hold on, let me get closer to the mic so I can say. I was reading it, and I had fun with it. It was a good book. I don't remember the names of the characters except for Fuck Tarkington because he was cool.
That's going to be a standout.
But I do like the colors of this book. I love the energy that was pervaded in it, and it was really, really cool along the way because I'd only really seen Erica Henderson before in the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl by Ryan North. And she's a very fun artist, but Ryan North has this thing where he's always writing these side notes in the comics he does, and they're really witty, but you always get distracted from the book to read the side notes written along the side in the smallest print ever. It's like, okay, I get it. But to see her come just pulling no punches with her artistic storytelling and just come out swinging to do a really fast-paced action book, I think it actually is a better application of her style rather than having her do something funny but slow. But this is funny but fast, and I really like the colors on it. They were really bright, vibrant, and just
really
jumped
popped.
out at you. Yeah, especially those pinks and stuff. So it was really good. So
It was a nice juxtaposition for like how graphic and there's some pretty gnarly like headshots.
there's some pretty gnarly violent stuff, and it's really weird when you see an artist you're familiar with really flipping a 180, because I expected, from the title that this would just be, okay, another just gritty gang book or something like that. But instead, it's a funny gang book, and I think it surprised me that way, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Sweet,
Yeah.
Katrina, I know you have some notes. My notes literally on this were, I think it was a really fun book, bright, violent, fun.
Violent and vibrant.
Yes, violent and vibrant.
Well,
Say that.
The artwork on this also reminded me kind of Archie comics a little bit. It kind of has that style, which kind of is like, oh, this is an interesting take on this. We have, the main guy looks like if Archie grew up, and became some boss. That's kind of what he looks like.
What's funny with that said is the artist he's talking about, Erica Henderson, under her list besides Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, it says Jughead.
Yeah, did she do the Zarsky Jughead?
I don't know. It just says Jughead. So I know
Chip Zdarsky is involved with this book somehow.
Okay. Sounds sexy. I do enjoy the Zarsky.
No, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I think it was the one I had the most notes on, because when I finished reading it, because that was my tag thing for it, I was like, if I was going to sum up this book, what would I say? Because it's obviously the first issue, and there's going to be many more, hopefully. It'll be fun to read. Because I wrote down, former #1 hitman finds himself on the hit list. What better way to stay alive than to hire all the top hitmen? See what happens when the top guns get the opportunity of the contract of a lifetime. You can use that.
That's a pretty spot-on synopsis.
Yeah.
Totally.
I like that.
I feel like that should have been like the description of the comic book right there. That's
So
You're welcome.
So let me ask you, people in the group that are not like regular comic book readers, is this something that you would pick up monthly?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Just so you know, as someone that doesn't go and pick up comics, you can go to any comic book store and sign up for a pull list. Most comic book stores will have a pull list, and so you don't have to go. Wednesdays, so everybody knows Wednesday is New Comic Book Day. I pick up my books monthly, sometimes 6 weeks, every 6 weeks. But
Sometimes more.
I'm a bad comic book fan, but I have my pull list. I don't need to worry about. I still like walking through the racks and seeing what's new, but I don't have to worry if that one book that I read is going to be there because they're going to pull it for me. So that is something you can do. But you said you would definitely read it, Sam?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I recently watched the Umbrella Academy, and I kind of had to force myself to finish that series, and they had the characters Hazel and Cha-Cha, these hitmen. And when I was reading this, it reminded me of that, except for a way more like interesting and engaging, fun hitman sort of thing. So I think it's something I would pick up again for sure.
So for everybody listening, it's definitely it's an easy read. It's a fun read, and this is a first issue that's easy to jump on board with.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick read. I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of picks up traction and it kind of goes along the same vein as DC's Hitman that Garth Ennis did.
And like you said, it does have a cinematic feel, and with every single property being bought up in some way or another from the comic book world, some as quickly as a few issues. I wouldn't be surprised to see this down the
Easily
road
like
get picked up for something.
Like a streaming original series or a movie.
Yeah, that's
Starring Anthony Starr from Banshee. Take it to the bank. I'm going to get another beer. I wish we had intermission music because that would be epic.
Well, I could do something sweet.
Could
for
you do like scat, like Jeff Goldblum? Like
No, I'll do smooth scat. Ska-ba-da-ba-do-be-li-ba-ba-li-bi-li-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da. I'm the scat man. Skibidi-beep-ba-ba-da-do. Yo-da-da-do. Skibidi-yo-da-da-do. Yo-da-da-do. Skibidi-yo-da-da-do. Yo-da-da-do. Skibidi-yo-da-da-do. I'm the scat man. Ba-ba-ba-da-do. Ba-ba-ba-da-do. Be-ba-ba-ba-da-do. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da-da-da. Be-ba-ba-ba-da-do. Ba-ba-ba-da-do. Be-ba-ba-ba-da-do. Ba-ba-ba-da-do. Ska-ba-da-ba-da-be-ba-da. I realize that does not work well when
It's
you're trying
hard
to
to
smooth
sustain.
jazz.
No, yeah.
Did you know that Scatman John actually had a stutter? That's why he was actually able to do that sort of thing. So he's like, a little bit.
That's interesting.
I can get down with that.
I did not know that.
Scatman John is one of those guys who's solidified in 90s culture despite having only one song. He's just like Right Said Fred, I'm too sexy for my shirt. And I always want like those 90s one-hit wonders to come back.
Like the Fine Young Cannonballs?
Yes.
My dad liked that song too.
They had more than one hit.
They had two.
Yes.
Well, it's only because Scatman John
off the
died.
same album, but... Well,
Did they have a second album?
probably. Weren't they big on college radio? In the
Oh, I
80s?
have no idea.
I know Milli Vanilli had a second album.
What?
Yeah, but, one of them died.
Well, that happens when you try to kill yourself or succeed.
No, I thought... Wasn't he, like, complications from AIDS?
from killing
Yeah.
himself.
Complications from killing him. I'm sorry, this guy has died of complications from killing himself. Like,
The complication is
Whoops.
he was successful.
It's an anti-vaccine.
yeah. Could I try the blonde?
Yes. You want another glass?
Sure. I don't want cooties getting in this one. It has enough of my cooties there. We were talking about vaccines and cooties and other stuff.
You get the blonde, I get the brunette. Hey!
But
Which blonde?
I hope you're not talking about me.
I'm giving you the
I'm
look,
pretty
man.
sure I'm the
I think
only-
you're more of a dirty blonde.
I got the fever, Sam.
All right, thank you kindly. And in a mug, no less. Yeah, with a little froth on it. You have to get that froth on it if you want the mug.
That's how that is.
It's like the old Samuel Adams commercial. Samuel Adams, always a good choice. And now nobody makes a big deal about Samuel Adams anymore because the San Diego craft brewery scene blew up. It's like, society brewing, always a good choice.
Yeah, after San Diego's microbrewery scene blew up, every city decides to have their own microbrewery scene now. It's
Yeah,
everywhere.
but they
is
still
a,
can't
It's a
touch.
money
everywhere is a
maker.
craft brew town.
Give credit where credit is due.
Portland?
Samuel Adams actually is the one that actually started that whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. They are. The largest microbrewer. I mean, they started. From
And now he's
nothing.
mad that other people are taking off.
Well, no, he was actually mad because he wasn't actually invited to the microbrewer convention. It's like, guys, and when there was a hops shortage, he actually scaled back on ordering hops to allow the other industries to flourish along the way. But they just
Yeah,
see him as too
Katrina.
big.
Oh, hey, speaking of beer controversy, did you hear about the owner of Miller Coors backing out of the major macro brewing thing because of this whole Bud Light cornstarch thing?
Really,
What's going on?
Really, that bullet hit, huh?
Yeah, he's basically calling Bud Light out and saying that he's hurting the entire beer industry
Wow.
over that ad.
Over the shots being fired,
Yeah.
one actually struck, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Katrina, myself, and Matt are now drinking the Harlot, which is a blonde from the lovely Societe.
You're a harlot.
That's cold.
I want
Beer's
them.
cold too.
When I was living the hobo life a little while ago, I was a hobo.
Spider-Man
for a while.
hobo.
Actual
Spider-Man
hobo,
hobo.
or-
But no, I noticed that they had. I was at Society and I was looking through, and I took a selfie, and I realized they have a picture of a hobo in the background, and I'm like, you know what?
Did you?
They
do
should
some
come
sort of
one
inception?
make up one called the Transient, which
like
is a
it.
hobo beer.
Is that just a little bit of everything mixed into?
It's the cheapest one on the
Yeah.
menu.
Is
Yes,
that-
exactly.
It's when they only have like one beer left in each keg, and they just pour it into one glass.
Just-
like a grog.
Yes,
Yes,
I am the Transient, and hobos the little stick
that's
in
what the
thing.
silhouette could be.
Yeah, it's the those are called the bindle, which hobos use them to carry their stuff around.
For those that haven't been to Society, you should go there. But on each one of their tap handles and their beer bottles for their sours or anything, that's a silhouette of something. One of the people that actually worked there. So, the next book on the list is the very serious Dead Body Road. Dead Body Road is also a Skybound book, and it says the men involved in whose wife's death must die, all of them. Writer Justin Jordan and artist Matteo Scalera craft the bruising story of one man's revenge and the dark road he travels. Let's start with you, Katrina.
I noticed while reading this that there was a lot of one-page splashes, and it kind of stood out that, you know, your typical read is left to right and not a full page, but there were a lot of full-page spreads. A lot.
yeah.
I kind of wonder if that's maybe geared more toward like a more digitized way of viewing stuff, because I was viewing it on my phone and it was a little bit easier to navigate.
See, I found it harder.
Just turned
really?
it sideways to get the full spread in there.
I found it harder to navigate at a full page and that's what I'm not really used to at all. So that was a little difficult for me. But I think one of the things that only one thing bothered me, and it was the piercing the girl had.
Oh, yeah, the giant rod in her nose.
And I just, every time I looked at her, I was like, why is that there? But, you know, that was just a personal issue I
Well,
had
because
with
it just
piercing.
looked like two dots on her nose.
But no, other than that, like the characters were good. I enjoyed the full body squish on the car from Quint. I thought that was a pretty solid exit.
Oh,
I was going to
absolutely.
say that was my favorite
Yeah,
death
that
in any
was-
of the books that we
yeah.
read this time. When he got hit and he was like, did he say, oh, fuck, or like shit or
Yeah.
something? He was about to
I think
get
all
hit.
the characters said that.
And his
before
whole
they
body
died.
was
It's like, well-
spread
Yeah,
across the page.
His
in
intestines
pieces,
were around
limbs,
the
and
back
everything,
tires.
yeah.
It was pretty
Legs
good.
dismembered. It was very good.
That was a very
I
solid
enjoyed
death.
the crap out of it.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
That death specifically or the whole book?
Both. I've read this author's other stuff, Luther Strode, and that's a ridiculous, like over the top, like super Western kind of anime, hyper violent comic, and this kind of comes across in the same vein.
I need you to talk in the mic.
Okay.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I really, I thought the story was okay, if a bit cliche to the revenge story.
Yeah.
Sure.
But if it was a decent book, the artwork made it a lot better. I really enjoyed the grittiness, the lines across it, showing speed. I like the grittiness.
I do have praise for the artwork as well. It's reminds me a bit of Sean Murphy, who actually, I openly admit is my favorite artist working in comics these days. And
what is his big book right now?
the big book right now that he's working on is one I haven't read yet, Batman White Knight. That's the latest one. I was
yeah,
waiting
that
for.
was- yeah.
I was just waiting
So
for.
it is
I
really
was
good.
waiting for a pretty collected edition on it. But if you look at his other stuff along the way, I was first introduced to him on an American Vampire miniseries, and I was wondering, just like it was so good, why was this not nominated for an Eisner Award? And then he worked with Scott Snyder again on The Wake, which I thought was another phenomenal series. And then he started doing solo endeavors, doing Punk Rock Jesus, which I thought was easily, the best book of the year as well. And it's just like, surprisingly, that was not they didn't have an Eisner Award category for Best Limited Series that year because that easily was the shoo-in for the winner. And Punk Rock Jesus, it proved that Murphy could not only draw well, but also write well, because it was a story of they took the Shroud of Turin and they cloned Jesus, and they grew Jesus in his own just he raised him in his an enclosure, but he has this big burly bodyguard who is part of just the Irish Civil War resistance, and he listened to a lot of punk rock, and so Jesus Christian, his name is Christian, but he goes by Chris, started getting into punk rock. So you literally got a punk rock Jesus.
This sounds like something you would read, Alan.
It's a phenomenal
Something
book.
I have read.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't know what you read.
You know me well enough to think that I would have read it.
That I would. You don't have time. You just tell me all the time you have no time.
It's true.
But the thing about Sean Murphy's books that I like the most is he draws in a scratchy, gritty style, but the stories move along so well. It's just you blink and you're done. And he did a miniseries with Mark Millar that was a 4-issue series. I just opened the book and then I just blinked. And it's like, wait, it's over? It's over? But that was so good. It was called Chrononauts, where these guys basically go through time stealing artifacts and just messing up the timeline for their own amusement. And it was a really fun book. And there's other stories where I'll pretty much pick up anything he reads. He did another one where he teamed up with Rick Remender for one called Tokyo Ghost. And that one didn't play to the strengths of Sean Murphy because it had all these scenes where they're driving on motorcycles and going all around the place, but they're talking and there's like a paragraph of text while you're doing these things. These scenes should be just zoom, 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 quick, 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 and not slowing down to read dialogue bubbles, because people don't really talk like that when they're
motorcycles.
On motorcycles.
Are you familiar with Daniel Warren Johnson?
I cannot say that I am.
He has a very intricate art style where he puts so much into his. I don't understand how he does commissions at conventions because there's so much involved in his stuff. And he did. He finished Extremity last year, and he's writing Murder Falcon right now. But he writes and draws all his own limited series for Skybound. And I loved Extremity. And the amount of detail that goes into his stuff. I'm going to find one while you guys are talking about this so I can show you this picture of Spider-Man. But his stuff is unbelievable. But as for this book, like I said, the story is a little bit cliche. I still enjoyed it. There were some absolutely brutal deaths in it. And this is a few years old, so spoilers don't really matter. This is a completely contained miniseries. It's you read beginning, middle, end. It's the entire story arc. I do like the guy at the end who gets shot in the side of the head. That's kind of the like the Gus Fring thing, where Gus Fring comes out of that room and straightens his tie, and then you see the other half of him's like blown up. Yeah. I like this guy. He's just like, oh fuck. Yeah. You're right. Maybe everybody did say oh fuck right when they died.
Well, and it was funny, the dialogue with this. There was parts where it was super deep, and then there was parts where I was like, that seemed like it was like some Sylvester Stallone movie, some one-liner out of that. But there was a lot of parts I thought needed more exclamation marks, and they always ended with a period. And I always thought, that's weird. So there's a guy who's getting hit by a car and he goes, oh shit. Not, oh shit. He just goes, oh shit.
Yeah. Just kind of resigned to his fate.
Yeah.
Death time.
Yeah, time to die. I definitely felt this was cinematic as well. It was really cool that it was self-contained into really just 3 settings: the diner, the road, and that warehouse. Mm-hmm. It was a nice, it would translate very well to the screen.
Yeah,
not too much going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see Tom Jane playing the main character there.
If you made the movie of this,
I could see that. Yeah,
rewrite the movie.
Spider-Man commission.
No, I liked it. Everything seemed to. There's times
this guy
where
does full comic pages for commissions.
Sorry, he interrupted. I just showed him some.
No, I know we sent, but it impressed me. Like, look at this.
That's a Spider-Man commission that Daniel Warren Johnson did for and as an artist, look at that shit, man. Look at how much detail is in that.
Look at what he does with Murder Falcon. Each issue, he has a different guitar track that he's written and releases on the Skybound website.
Yeah, he releases a guitar track to go with each issue of Murder Falcon, and have you listened to him and read it?
These are commissions he does at
conventions. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I listen to them while I read them.
Does it add to the story?
No, but
It's just fun.
yeah, it's a cool accompaniment. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely slowly becoming a fan of this guy because I wasn't that impressed with Extremity, and I'm really.
How many
enjoying
issues of
Mortifying.
Extremity did you read?
2.
Really?
Yeah, I just couldn't get into it.
Oh,
But Punk Rock Jesus is
Punk Rock Jesus,
That's a
my
winner right
jam.
Punk Rock Jesus.
Yeah, dude, he talked about American Vampire. You love Scott Snyder. You should read American Vampire. It's really good.
I own American Vampire.
American Vampire Survival of the Fittest is the particular one.
I'm about 5 years behind on single issue comics, so let me just jump on that real quick. I've recommended books to you that you finished before I've even picked them back up
I know
again.
you still haven't finished Preacher.
I haven't started Preacher. I haven't finished. What was that serial killer one that I recommended to you?
Oh, Nailbiter.
I haven't finished Nailbiter. I haven't finished Saga. I mean, Saga's still. I think Saga's on hiatus
Still
right
going.
now.
Yeah, something should be. I don't know. I agree. I fell behind on single issue comics as well. I mean, I was
Just wait for
really
the
up
trades
on my
now.
stuff like 3 months ago, but then all the San Diego Comic Fest stuff hit, and I carry my books around in my backpack whenever possible. But I did make some time to read tonight's books, and so that's pretty much all the reading I've been doing. And I had to really, really squeeze and slam
appreciate
myself
it.
to get the time to get those books read.
We appreciate it. Did you already touch base on Dead Body Road?
I did. I was first.
Okay, and Sam did. Everybody did. Sarah?
I just like wanted to concur with the fact that I was more of a fan of the artwork than like the dialogue itself, and I kind of did really appreciate the emotional, like the ability to put in that emotion to such a short story, and I really liked the image of I'm totally spacing on character names.
Quince?
Sorry. What was it?
The guy that got hit by the truck?
No, I was
Oh.
going to say the main guy.
Gage?
Yeah,
Gage,
Gage and
yeah.
Anna, like that image of them that he keeps looking at. It's like a lot packed into that image, and it just like it's interesting that in such a short story, you know, that it conveyed a lot of emotion through that image.
Yeah, I feel like the artwork in this did a lot of the storytelling. Even with there's flashback moments that are easy to recognize as flashbacks, and it doesn't take away from the story either. You're not jumping in and out, you know,
Yeah.
trying to get to the from flashback back to the real time story.
Well, I think when you tie to emotion, and there are like plenty of emotional moments, but there's just as many equally like moments of indifference that you see with Gage, where he doesn't care that he's gonna die. Like he accepts it like readily. He's just very indifferent about everything. His sole focus is, yeah, I don't care. It's not even gonna make me feel better. I just want to kill you guys.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
there's
he even admits that like revenge is pointless, but he's like, I just am going to kill you.
yeah.
Mission accomplished.
You should have concurred, Robert.
I concur. The last book we read was Oblivion Song, the first trade, which is issues 1 through 6. I'll read a quick synopsis. I'm gonna let Sarah go first because I think this was her favorite book out of the three. And this is another Skybound book, Skybound imprint from Image Comics. It says, a decade ago, 300,000 citizens of Philadelphia were suddenly lost in oblivion. The government made every attempt to recover them, but after many years, they gave up. Nathan Cole won't. He makes daily trips, risking his life to try and rescue those still living in the apocalyptic hellscape of oblivion. But maybe Nathan is looking for something else. Why can't he resist the siren call of the Oblivion Song? And this is writer Robert Kirkman. And I'm about
That
to
sounds
butcher this.
familiar. Do you know who that is?
Robert Kirkman has been on this podcast.
He's the best.
He's our guy, and he knows it. And even going a little further, all the people at Skybound have been really good to this podcast, which is why we wanted to kick it off with them. But I can't not give the artist's name in this just because
Lorenzo de Felici.
and it is Lorenzo, and he. A lot of times you'll just hear the writer. You know, you don't hear the artist name. So for me, it is extremely important to every time we do a book on here, you will hear the artist, the writer, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper on this one because the letterer is Russ Wooten, and I don't think he gets enough credit because he's around. He letters a lot of books.
They have a female colorist.
Annalisa Leone is the colorist. So credit to where credit's due, because it is a very pretty book. Sarah, I know you really enjoyed this book, so I'm going to let you take the first shot at it.
Thanks. I definitely cannot say enough about this book, and I really have loved. We've read the first 6, and I'm a huge fan. In addition to it being really beautiful, I'm just a huge fan of disseminating backstory in a subtle way that's not predictable. So one of the first things that stood out to me was just the way that we would get a little bit revealed to us about Oblivion through the news interview with the survivor's brother, which was really interesting. And then there was just a lot of juxtaposing of images throughout, where you would see Nathan solo at a bar, and then this person, and he's really sad about his brother. And then we're hearing the interview where the survivor's brother was sad, and just a lot of those parallels, which is really interesting to me.
That is cool. I wouldn't have thought about that way.
And I think another thing that that this one achieves that is one thing I love about graphic novels and comic books, is you can see the simultaneous stories between different things going on at the same time that can't really be conveyed in a regular book. You can see this this interview going on in one panel and also get to see a little bit of insight into Nathan's psyche, which is really cool.
So I actually really enjoyed this book. Oblivion Song. Also got to give props to the logo, the rings. And
Katrina's wearing the shirt right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. That's even cooler. Cool. You think you're so high and mighty because you got the shirt?
She's the one that wore the band shirt to the band show. It's a no.
Oh,
No,
it's
no.
You were that girl?
Katrina changed before we started the podcast.
No. It's if the band is wearing the band shirt. Don't y'all remember that movie from the 90s that Seth Green was in and all the people? I forgot the name of it.
That just meant that they had nothing
Can't
clean.
hardly wait.
Can't hardly wait. That was it.
Thank you.
There was another one that they were talking about wearing the
My
shirt.
parents wouldn't let me watch that movie, so I had to watch it at my friend's house. So
Can't
anyway.
hardly wait?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they let you watch it?
It's not
Because my
teenage
parents,
sex.
because it's PG-13. And my parents are lame.
Wow.
Anyway, so I think this book is a little hard to follow in the beginning, but you make sense of it. So it's okay, they're chasing zombies, but then you think, wait, do the zombies just turn into these Mike Mignola Cthulhu monsters all of a sudden? It's okay, no, they were being chased by a Mike Mignola Cthulhu monster all of a sudden. But then you get it, and in the beginning of the book, the art is stronger, and it feels more dynamic, and the colors are more resonant, but then it gets to a point where the colors and the artwork calms down a little more. It's one of those things where it's really hooking you with the best foot forward, but then it does the right thing and Kirkman is very established in setting up the post-apocalyptic story, and he's very smart to not explain how it happened, just say it happened, so that way you get your curiosity going of, wait, well, how did it happen? And
Well, in this one, you by the end of the first trade, you kind of get how it could have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a lot of good things to play around with, and simply for the fact that the world is established, and what I like about it is 10 years have passed since the incident. It's not just dealing with the incident. The world has gone on without this. They're just not going back into it. He said, it's there. We don't know how it happened.
They went so far to build him a monument in D.C. to it.
And I love that he's crossing off names as he gets them back.
Absolutely.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole. That and when they explain what Oblivion Song is, and when it gets quiet and you can hear the monsters in the distance and you can hear the bugs and the wind and
I think that's what makes it different than most post-apocalyptic alternate kind of dimensions. Usually, when you have stories like that, it's you're dealing with cosmic horror and unspeakable evil, and this is just more described as a world of savage beauty out of something out of a pulp novel, and you kind of start getting that impression when later on there's some people trying to find out what Nathan's doing and they don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, a different perspective from he thinks he's rescuing people, and the people that are in Oblivion because of the transference think that he's killing people basically. Yeah. They don't know what's happening to him, and I mean, and these issues have been out a little while, and so I'm sorry if we spoil anything for you, but the whole first trade is about him trying to find his brother, who he finds rather quickly. I mean, it happens pretty quick. And
I don't know. 10 years has passed.
Yeah, that's
well,
it's not
in
exactly
the
the
book,
quickest.
yes, 10 years he's been doing this, and for most of the time he's been doing it on his own,
And I think it was smart to kind of resolve that plot thread early on.
not stringing along.
Yeah,
Exactly,
that
because
was
it would just
nice.
become a tired
little
trope
more
at some point.
satisfying.
But it
yeah.
also shows what what a garbage person in the real world can do when there are no resources in a different situation, and he can rise to be, basically the leader of these people.
That was the moment that hooked me. I think it was the end of issue 3. So I have to have a disclaimer. This has been on my monthly poll list, and I've been reading since issue 2.
I'm behind on it.
But yeah, I think it was like the end of issue 3 where they're watching what Nathan's doing, and they go, "Well, what do you want to do about this, Ed?" And he's like,
Ed who?
"Ed would be Nathan's
No,
brother."
I know that's not what they say. They say something like that.
Something
But-
like that. Yeah,
so-
and you get the point that obviously they don't know who each other is doing, and they're kind of operating in tandem.
So you say that you can like a book on issue 3.
Yeah, sometimes it has to have a hook, and some
So you got hooked on issue 3.
yes.
So you need to read one more issue of Extremity, and then you can check it off.
If it'll curb your yeah, sure, I'll read issue 3.
Okay.
I'm just saying that sometimes, I get that first issues are usually kind of rough to establish, but
Except for Assassination coming out March 13th.
well, you know what else had a pretty good hook was another Skybound book, Die 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 Die.
I think it's just Die Die Die.
There's a lot of exclamation points
Die
and dies in
Die
there.
Die Die. I'm still behind on that, but what I've read so far I really like.
I read the first issue, and then it's like, wow. The scene where he's like cutting off the dude's nose.
Yeah.
Like, ow, wow. And it's like, and they drag it out. It's not like a quick thing where something's just like no, it's like no,
Tarantino
it's
style?
like
Yeah.
no, it's Darren Aronofsky style, where it's like, I mean, you feel the pain in an Aronofsky story.
Right?
I'm sorry, Alan. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yes, he did.
I was done. I just saying that sometimes, you gotta be able to hook the reader in, and I wasn't hooked.
And just because you don't like something that I do isn't something that I would get upset about. But
But clearly you're upset I don't like Extremity.
no, I that was one of my favorite books of that year. I really genuinely like that book a lot.
Well, hell, I didn't give Manifest Destiny a
That's a
try
good book.
until like 24 issues in, because I thought it was just a historical comic, and I already know the story of Lewis and Clark.
And how good is that book?
It's pretty damn good.
I'm behind on that too, but I've read about 25 issues of, and I like that book a lot. If you don't know that, that's also another Skybound book. Like you thought it was a historical.
It's extremely beautiful.
That is a good book. That's by is that
I blame
Williamson?
marketing for it. No, Williamson does Nailbiter. And,
I think he does this as well.
Birthright.
Oh, you're right. He does Birthright. You are correct, sir. Which I like both of those. But no, in this, they're going across America, and they have their journal where they're showing everything they discover, but they also have an alternate journal, the journal that's showing all the monsters that they found as they've trekked across
Yeah,
America.
it's basically like a big cryptozoography.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Sam, what'd you think of Oblivion Song?
This was really good. As we said before, it's a very pretty book. There was one thing I liked about the story on this. So basically, the event happens, people get taken to this alternate dimension, and Gage, is that the...
Oh, that was in the last one. This
Oh,
is
no.
Nathan Cole.
Nathan
is the main
Cole,
character.
yeah. So he is going
Doctor, he didn't
back.
go to
That's right.
science
These
school
are
for
all
nothing.
scientists and doctors.
Fuck you.
So he's going back to get people and bring them back to our dimension, I guess. And one thing I liked about this was they really hit on the fact that people from Oblivion who come back basically have a sense of PTSD from it, because they're in
big time.
this crazy quiet world where all they're hearing is monsters, basically, to back to normal reality where it's cities and noise from that. And they hit on that a lot in this, which I liked. I thought that kind of helped make the story a little
I
bit
did
more
too.
dynamic, and the characters a little bit more dynamic.
Absolutely, yeah. That point always reminds me of that scene at the end of Castaway after he's been rescued, and he's having a hard time adjusting to like regular life. He's like still sleeping on the floor, and you see a lot of that in one of Nathan's lab assistants with his
Duncan?
girlfriend.
Yeah, Duncan.
You see that with he also interviews a girl that he's asking questions to, and she talks about just getting a job as a nighttime receptionist at a hotel, and she's having a lot of problems, and she's been back for years. I mean,
I would imagine it's pretty scarring.
Yeah.
like coming back from war.
I mean, yeah, these people have been there for 10 years, right? It's 10 years after. Well, some of these people sooner than that, too.
But like the Crenshaws, who are the first couple he brings back that we see, they've been in there because it was almost a 10-year anniversary. So they've been there almost 10 years. And they don't know that the world is still there.
Yeah, they thought that it was gone completely. They thought
it gives you kind of that sensation, like that feeling of like a pulp novel where Tarzan, where it's the infant left in the wilds of Africa and raised in this savage environment, and has difficulty readjusting to civilized society. It has a lot of those like fish out of water pulp elements.
Yeah. Well, and then it even goes to the point of there's people who were in Oblivion that don't want to go back because they're honestly doing better in Oblivion than they were in normal society.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's important because when he was talking to Olive in the restaurant, she points out that just because she was surviving there didn't mean that she didn't want to, now being back in the real world, it was much better than being there. And she wouldn't go back.
Yeah, but even when he meets up with his brother doesn't want to go back.
Well, I think there's also other reasons for that and that was a whole nother thing that I found at the end of the book is where now his brother's getting taken off in a car, and well, what the hell does he do now that he just came back from a world where he was basically
apparently he has to take a shower because he's a bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he comes back and immediately gets treated like shit.
Yeah.
Would you really want to come back to that if you're basically like, but
king
it's shit in another place?
Yeah, and it's obviously kind of setting up for that. So
I like
conflict.
Oh yeah, I'm just not to interrupt or anything, but I just did. But I like how they interact. How they're just this is very much a Survivor story, but like we said, it reminds you of Castaway. They adapt. It's like, oh, we're under attack. Oh, good. And that means, look, dinner's on.
Yep.
The monsters attack them,
Yeah.
and
They
then
literally
next scene
eat the monster, yeah.
They eat the monster.
And I love that scene where Ed says, "This is living," and he's eating the meat while Nathan's like, "No thanks."
Yeah, man, that's the noble savage, man.
These
modern day
crazy
barbarians.
looking monsters where even me just knowing it's a comic book, I was like, I wouldn't eat that. That's gross.
And then at the very end of this, you have the faceless men, which are these weird, creepy,
like a 3-headed thing.
it looks like they were riding something. I mean, it was they were creepy looking. And that when you hear faceless men, you almost kind of think that guy's referring to
Actual
Nathan.
humans.
Well, Nathan shooting his family maybe and taking them back, and this guy gets accused to be the murderer, and then you see that there's actually this faceless men.
I do love the technobabble, the technology, right? So he has the belt.
Matt likes to
helps
bang the table.
Yep, I do. She said I've had better.
Yeah. But yeah, you have
Mabel the table.
where was I going with that? I forgot.
I was going to say that those faceless men reminded me a little bit of the wraiths from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
the
I can see that.
Nazgul.
Yeah.
This sounds metal when you say
Yeah, that was exactly.
I have
what
a
thought,
ring
too.
wraith sword. I have the Witch King sword.
Nice.
Yeah, I bought it at Comic-Con.
Nice.
Where else?
But it sounds like you're going to pick this book up.
I have not had a pull list in a while. I dated a guy who worked at a comic shop years ago, and it's been 10 years since I've had one. But I could see myself getting back into getting this one for sure.
Well, now, I mean, with digital comics so readily available, I mean, you can really just read them anytime you want. That's what Alan does, right?
Yeah, you can pick them up on Comixology. I think they're up to issue 12 right now. They just finished what will be the second trade this week.
I'm such a fan of hard copies, though. I'm old school like that.
I'm the same way. Like,
Yeah, it's.
We had-
It's
I'm just
very
running out of
dusty, though.
space. Yeah.
yeah, we
That's a
had.
good point.
I read Dead Body Road digitally, but I went out and bought the trade
Yeah.
because I wanna reread it with it in my hand.
Yeah.
And I'm not old school on many things, but I guess with that I am. And I understand comics take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Unless you just give them to kids.
And it's
like
tender in your house.
that. Tinder?
I don't do Tinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do Twitter. Oh, okay. I was like, no,
Heyo.
I've just gotten in the habit of just giving away my comics after I read them because, I mean, I recently actually found the time when I was waiting for someone to arrive for another podcast. So, you know what? In the meantime, I'm going to put away all of my books. And I put away all of my books, and I've just had to squeeze in that last book. I've squeezed in every single amount of book space that I have after finally organizing all my books that have just been piled up over my house. Now, and you're left with this situation. Do I buy an $80 bookshelf from IKEA again? Or wait, I'm like, no, I can use that $80 to buy books. So the thing is, of course, I have to just downsize. So pretty much when I'm done with the trade, I've just gotten in the habit of giving away to other local institutions. As of late, I've given so much away to Little Fish. They have a good library, but it's our other local libraries that really need it. So I actually have been taking boxes and boxes of trades down to the Chula Vista Library, which is developing a very nice, flourishing library of its own. So I kind of just I've decided, okay, Little Fish has enough. Now let me find another local library that's in need of graphic novels, or just I donate comics. I don't like the term graphic novel. It's a snobby term. I think I talked about last time about I worked for the guy who so-called came up with the term, but as a marketing ploy, but he actually stole it from Will Eisner, who coined the term back in 1973 at San Diego Comic-Con. But this guy basically just used it to market Watchmen back in the late 80s.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're saying for somebody who might be new and hesitant into getting into comics and they don't know where to start, head to the Chula Vista Library because they apparently have a really sweet collection now.
Yeah, definitely check out the Chula Vista Library. They've got good stuff. I hope you like X-Men because there's literally a short box full of X-Men trades that was just donated along that way. And other great spots, the Mission Hills Library, which has opened up their new location, has a great graphic novel selection, and they're off to a great start. Other spots along the way, I forget the technical area, but the library over by SDSU has a great graphic novel library as well. They actually have a lot of duck stuff over that way too. So,
Like ducks?
like Donald Duck
Oh.
and Scrooge McDuck.
Gotcha.
Duck books. True ducks.
Talk about hockey for a second.
But you want to know the worst secret about the McDuck clan? They're actually geese. Ducks are colored. They usually have green.
These are
Geese
white.
are white.
Yeah.
Donald Duck
Mind
is a goose.
blown.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Or just the fact that it's a cartoon and
It doesn't.
It's
Whatever
not
you
just a
want.
cartoon.
It's life.
They don't wear pants. I know that.
yeah, no. they
Donald Duck
don't.
was actually banned in Italy for a number of years for not
yeah
wearing
because
pants.
for not having pants.
And then
and ducks are rapists. And with their weird corkscrew dicks.
yeah. Also, and
They're
also,
also necrophagists.
yeah, but also while we're still on the duck issue, like I said, Donald Duck was actually banned in Italy for not wearing pants, but then Disney actually attempted a lawsuit at Marvel back in the 70s because Howard the Duck resembled Donald Duck too closely, so they sued them for likeness, and so that's why Howard the Duck has to wear pants now, so he's not too
is that-
similar in
okay.
appearance.
I was
Nice.
about to say, because doesn't Howard the Duck have
Howard the
pants?
Duck
Yeah,
wears pants,
that's-
but he didn't wear
okay.
pants back in the day.
Oh, all right.
I know
Yeah.
there were duck boobs in the movie.
Yeah.
There were. Katrina, did you want to say anything about Oblivion song? You got some notes here.
Sure.
Yeah, we did.
To pull it back.
Run off the rails a little bit there.
Trying to go off things that people didn't discuss. So
It's a very nice shirt, by the way.
oh, thanks. When Nathan's walking the Crenshaws through the museum of the transference, it kind of really reminded me of the 9/11 museum, because
Yeah.
when we went there in New York, it was really just quiet and nobody's talking. It's just like solemn and it's just sad. And that's just kind of like the feeling I got when they were walking through there and just kind of piecing things together of like what happened and things that have happened to people that come back. And when I was reading it, I was also thinking about, Nathan's making all these choices and he's making them because he feels like he needs to go find his brother. But there's so many other people around him that are trying to kind of bring him back into like living, because he's living, but he's not really living his life. So I kind of wrote it down like, okay, is he living or is he living to die? Because he knows more than likely he's not going to find his brother, which is before he runs into him. And he's kind of on this lost quest. He's not finding very many people left anymore.
Even when he would find dead bodies, he had that dental kit that he would do teeth.
I find that
Yeah,
I found that
that's right.
very cool that he was taking
It
dental.
was a really cool detail. It made it so like realistic.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was for a selfish goal because he wants to identify his brother. But I mean, that's important work, cataloging and.
Well, I don't even know if that's just for him to find his brother. Like, he's finding people who have died, so
Right.
he can actually know,
that back.
like, those people on the wall, are they actually dead, or are they, possibly out there? Let's see here. And I was what
Did the wall have the 20,000 people that got killed?
30,000.
No, it was 300,000 that disappeared. There was 20,000 that were killed by monsters that came into Philadelphia.
No, I don't think they were on the wall because they didn't actually go.
That's fucked up. There was 20,000.
They were inside the museum though with that picture of the cop that.
Yeah, you're right. That they made a movie of. Sorry, Katrina. Go ahead.
Rude. So my last thought when I was reading is, how long do we go through evolution before it becomes a status quo? So they're in Oblivion song. They're kind of evolving to the situation that they're living in, but that's just normalcy for them now. These kids are being raised as home.
These kids know nothing but Oblivion.
Right.
They were born there, they were raised there, that's their lives. And the people there are genuinely happy. So it's just one of those weird sci-fi tropes that comes in to, you find the rescuers, but they don't want to be rescued.
The happy, ignorant peasants.
Yes,
the
exactly.
serfs, yeah.
Isn't that Stockholm Syndrome?
A little bit Stockholm Syndrome, but it's just, does Tarzan ever want to leave the environment? Which is just, when we get back into Tarzan, it's like he's got elephants and lions and gorillas on his island, literally every African animal, but yet they don't live together in these kind of environments.
No, but when you read the books, anytime he's in, like, when he's at Greystoke Manor or when he's in Pellucidar, all he does is his inner monologue is lamenting how much he misses the jungle, how much the jungle is home to him.
Yeah.
And obviously Ed is missing Oblivion as soon as he leaves.
Well, because he's somebody there. He's important. He's needed. He's shaping that community.
He doesn't owe money.
He's Brooks
Yeah,
from Shawshank Redemption.
he went from king shit to shit.
Yeah, real fast. So I think genuinely everybody liked it. Before this, when was the last time you read a comic book, Sam?
Actually, not that long ago. Every
Really?
once in a while, when I get a Barnes and Noble gift card, I will spend it on a comic book usually.
Nice.
What kind of comics do you read?
Whatever I feel like picking up. Last one I think I got Suicide Squad, just because of the movie. I was like, I gotta have one of their comics. I have a couple Batman ones, some Punisher ones.
Yeah, you did give it a B, and then immediately the next episode say how much you hated it.
Yeah.
I have a way of talking myself up. It's part of being as much as I shit on myself in real life, I tend to be a pretty optimistic person.
But I'm pretty sure through most of the episodes, your opinion of things just gradually goes down as the episodes go on.
They tried really hard.
Besides
That's a really good effort. I
Spider-Verse,
like
that
it.
is the one that he will always give that an A.
Or Coco, or what's the cooking one with the rats? Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. Well, no, it's
Really?
hard to spend your money on something and go into it being like, I'm going to fucking hate the shit out of this. Like, I'm not going to waste my money on something.
No,
Get out of here.
If I know I'm going to hate something, I'm just going to not watch it.
Into the Spider-Verse, Ratatouille, and Coco are all solid A's. Solid.
That's what I'm saying. You really like those movies.
Yes, solid.
But
What would you say some of your favorite comics are?
I honestly, my artist background, I grew up being an artist, wanting to be a comic book artist. That was
I recently
my...
heard you did some artwork for somebody famous.
Oh, was it 5 to 9 Nerds?
I've never heard of them.
I believe I
Never
did
heard
some
of them.
artwork for them.
Who are they?
Sam is the artist that did the artwork for our cover. So
Yeah. No, I have a library of making comic books for artists. And that was my childhood. I wanted to grow up doing that. Got away from that because I realized being an artist doesn't make money. So, but
But it's great exposure.
It is great. Yeah, sure. I'm not going to pay my rent with exposure though.
personally, I'd love to get a webcomic going to go hand in hand with the podcast.
That would be cool.
And I mean, we could figure out terms on how we would do this, but I'd love to get you to do maybe a monthly. I'd love to do it more than monthly, but maybe a monthly.
So wait, you've always wanted to do comic book art?
And
Haven't
make
you always
comic
wanted to be a
books.
comic book writer?
Yes, I have.
Well, see, that's
Aren't you
great
writing a
because
comic
I
book?
hate writing. I like drawing pictures.
Yeah.
You give me a story, and I will make that story out of pictures. That's all I
We'll
want.
figure this
You,
out.
you don't say.
Shut up,
Yeah.
Alan.
Hey, isn't it funny how this all works out?
We'll figure this out.
There's a reason why I wanted to jump on this podcast the moment he brought it up, because I was like, hey, this is up my alley, and people don't know this. but not to toot my own horn, but beep beep.
That was so cheesy. Is there anything anybody else wanted to say before I let Matt talk about Comic Fest? I think this went rather well.
Yeah, no,
Buy Skybound books.
Yeah, I would be. I think it's safe to say that Skybound puts out quality books,
Oh, great
and
books.
you should.
I would say that's safe to say.
Yeah, that you should.
Yeah, they become the new Vertigo, man.
I'd say a good selection of them too, different styles.
Yeah.
We weren't reading the same style
Not at
each
all.
one. They were all very different, which was really
so
nice.
Is it me, or is this becoming a new trend in just in comic book art in general? But I feel like, 90s was known for being dark and gritty and edgy, but a lot of art I'm seeing in comic books today that have come out in the last few years is very bright, vibrant, like a lot of fluorescent colors. Is that me,
Yeah.
or is that a growing trend?
Oh, for sure. And I think it also has to do with the digital art too. Now that digital art has come a long ways, people can do a lot more. You're not just restricted to making your colors. You can open up an art program and come up with whatever color you want.
You mean you can't do the old PR gimmicks like put a pint of your blood in the red ink vats?
No,
Kiss
they
did?
don't do that anymore. I think there was
Stan Lee did that recently. No, I don't know. Not willingly.
Not willingly, but that was
Yikes.
the weirdo.
Yes, you know more into that than any of us.
Yeah.
We won't go into it.
Sounds
Don't
like
go into
there's
that.
gonna be an
It's-
outbreak from that.
No, it's.
Stop!
We
Stop!
won't-
Stop! Stop!
We won't talk about that.
No, people aren't making ink out of dirt or things like that. No, I think there's just with digital art, there's a lot more people can do now as far as coloring and inking and everything. It's a little bit cooler just because I think it'll up the detail on things. As far as it's a lot nicer on a tablet where you can zoom in real fine on something to put a line in on something than trying to squint your eyes real hard and get a line on a piece of paper. But yeah, no, it's definitely coming a long ways, and I think I do like seeing the different. For me, being an artist, I pick up a comic book, and the first thing I look at is the artwork. That's what gets me hooked is the style. Because I, of course, have my style I like. And then if it's just a style that I go, wow, I haven't seen that before. That looks really cool. I'll get it for that reason. But yeah, I usually run along the lines of ones I've known. Like one I do like is the old Spirit comics. Dick Tracy was another one that I really liked the artwork on that. That was just that style that I really liked. But yeah, no, there's definitely, this is what I liked about this is we have 3 different comic books with 3 completely different styles, 3 different artists. And it was really nice because we weren't picking up 3 books that all looked the same.
Yeah.
So that made it a lot more interesting and a lot more fun to read.
Well, I want to say thank you to all you guys for actually taking the time and sitting down and reading them. This was a lot of fun.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
We should get tanked and record more often.
Yeah, I know. It's actually being able to read comics for the first time in forever is quite a nice feeling. Yeah, I've just been so busy with things that.
Go ahead.
Things like San Diego Comic Fest coming up from March 7th to the 10th here in San Diego, California at the 4 Points Sheraton. 4-day passes are $50, and we also offer single-day passes, student discounts, military discounts, senior discounts. Also, children ages 12 and under are always free. And I put a lot of hard work into this wonderful convention to make sure that it is great and awesome in every single way. I like how our Facebook page has nothing but 5-star reviews and how Forbes called us America's best small convention last year. But I want us to be America's best convention this year, so that's why I'm putting so much hard work into it.
You should go, Sarah.
I'm very interested.
Yeah, you should go. I hear it's very fun. And I hear that the guest list is just phenomenal, especially our guest of honor, Sergio Aragones, the world's greatest living cartoonist, who's been at Mad Magazine for nearly 60 years and worked for every major comic book publisher on projects, and he's a wonderful guy nonetheless. And I'm also happy to see us have a Golden Age guest of honor, Mr. Alan Bellman, who's been drawing Captain America since 1942, and he still draws, so I highly recommend pick up a sketch from him. And even me, I get to do my personal fanboy with 25 years of Spider-Man the Animated Series.
He's excited.
With series creator John Semper, my all-time favorite show. And we also get to do another panel called True Origins of the Spider-Verse, where we talk about how the Spider-Man animated series, the 2 final episodes, were actually the influential material for the Spider-Verse film. So come and join us on that. It's going to be a great time. I could talk more, but I guess I should stop.
I want to say sorry. I just banged the hell out of my headset onto the microphone while he was doing that, and I can't edit that out, so it's going to stay.
Good.
Dingus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but be sure to check us out at www.sdcomicfest.org, and check us out on Facebook at San Diego Comic Fest, and also on Twitter and Instagram at SD Comic Fest.
And we'll be there walking around too. It'll be my first year going. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. We have a wonderful lineup of programming, jam-packed, nonstop. I'm really upset that I have to be scheduled on certain panels while I'm going up against ones that I really want to be in the audience to see. It sucks. There's too much good stuff going on, and I'm bummed out about it, but that's a good problem to have, and I hope to see you all there.
I know I'll be there.
I'll be there. Katrina will be there. The boys will be there. It's going to be fun.
Maybe Sarah will be
I might be there.
Can we go together?
Yeah, we're going Saturday.
All right.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you got to read some comics again.
Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, as a teacher, I'm always reading student papers and stuff for class, so it was a really nice homework assignment to spend a Saturday reading comic books. I couldn't remember the last time I did that.
You mean reading something that doesn't suck?
Exactly.
Well, I'll definitely.
Well,
Those
I
kids
know-
don't. Those kids don't suck.
Edit that part out.
I know my papers sucked.
He said they sucked. I didn't hear you say anything. Well, you're welcome back anytime we do this. I do want to say thank you to Skybound for being our first episode of this, and we got some really cool books to read. I want to say thank you to Lucha Libre for
Yes, thank you. It was a delicious
meal.
Yes.
And Society for the amazing beer. Usually,
I love your Stout Society.
you like it?
I do.
You got to go. Do you like Browns?
Yeah. When the mood strikes me.
In November, they have a prostate awareness one.
Well,
It's a brown-
November is prostate
I
awareness
know,
month,
that's
yes.
a Spelunker, and it's a brown, and it's really good.
Nice.
So we'll have to go there in November.
Hey, it's a real deal, man. 1 out of every 2 men suffer from prostate cancer, and it's easily treatable with early detection.
Well, they said it's something like, why are we talking about prostate cancer? It's-
like
I go for my routine checkups from this guy on Craigslist.
Nice.
Wow.
personal ads.
Usually when we sign off, I say we're out, and our post music plays. Well, today, that's not going to be the case. Our closeout music is from our friend Chris Cotta, who actually wrote the intro and outro music, but he is actually an extremely, extremely talented musician. And he sent me his album over, and you can find him on Spotify. It's Chris Cotta. That's Chris, and Cotta is Cotta. You're going to be hearing the song Devil from Chris Cotta as our outro tonight. And I wanted to thank him for sending that over because it's some good stuff. So good comics, good beer, good food, and that'll be this episode. Thanks for listening.
You're gonna cry, you're gonna scream, you're gonna wish it was a dream. I'll take your heart, string you along, you're gonna think you're so strong. I'll feed you lies, you'll drink your tears, I'll make you realize new fears. With open arms you'll let me in, not understanding your sin. You'll see my grin, 'cause I'm your devil, I'm your devil. I will justify your lies and make you tremble. I'm your devil, I'm your devil. I lie awake when I open in your soul. I am your curse, I am your fate. I am not one you love to hate. If not for me, you wouldn't know how much it's all just for show. I'll tell you all you wanna hear. You're gonna lose what you hold dear. I'll hold your hand like lovers do, make you feel, make you move. The joke's on you, 'cause I'm your devil, I'm your devil. I will justify your lies and make you tremble. I'm your devil, I'm your devil. I lie awake when I open in your soul. I'm your devil, I'm your devil. I will justify your lies and make you tremble. I'm your devil, I'm your devil. I lie awake